79 Air and Sea Show. I'm Dick Crippen, and along with me on the microphone will be retired Brigadier General Gibby Varden. And Gibby, what an opportunity for the military.
It certainly is. A real salute to the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and the Coast Guard, the tip of the spear of our global air power.
And as we like to say, the sound of freedom.
It certainly is. They're going to hear plenty of that today.
Well, it is a salute to the military, but it is not all military. As we look high above us, we see the flyers for the Red Baron aerobatic team. They are encircling the jumpers known as the Golden Knights. And this is quite a way to open the show, Gibby. A great tribute to the military coming right down in the center of that circle.
Right, and you've got these wooden fabric airplanes that represent some of the start of the aviation, circling these great championship parachutists from the Army.
It's a great example of the private sector and military working together, a theme that you're going to see over and over today. It enables this show to be the world's largest air show, and it's an exciting moment for all of the fans assembled on Fort Lauderdale Beach on a beautiful, beautiful summer's day. We'll see more of both the Red Baron Squadron and the U.S. Army Golden Knights a little bit later. But first, one of the more exciting planes because it is so unusual in its look.
We have the A-10 Warthog. If ever an airplane was designed and went up to its name, it's the A-10 Warthog. It's a real killer.
This plane amazes me because of its maneuverability. It doesn't look like it should be able to fly around like that.
Well, it's special purpose design. Those engines are out there where they can be protected, changed very quickly. The pilot sits in a tub of titanium to protect him from ground fire, because that's the main mission of that airplane.
And in this case, it is an A-10. The A meaning?
Attack. And in the case of the Air Force, the B means bomber, C means cargo, F means fighter, and so on.
Well, from that to a little bit slower mode of transportation, the Clareton hang glider. And Gibby, I think people should appreciate that this was really a takeoff on the Wright brothers in the way that it had a worked wing on it and all that, and it taught us a lot about flight.
It sure did, and amazingly enough, as we go on into the B-2, which we'll see later, it gives you that delta wing shape.
And thanks to the fine folks in Clareton, it's here today. Hey, got a favorite plane?
F-18's one of the best.
Watch out, one's coming over your head.
Okay.
And Gibby, I have to say that when this plane comes over the crowd, you can feel the electricity and the excitement.
Well, this is a real workhorse for the Navy. It's a fighter or attack aircraft. It can be configured either way, and they really put this airplane through its paces.
It's a real multi-purpose plane, too, for the military.
Right, it carries out, as we say, it's a multi-role, all-weather interceptor. It can also be used in the attack mode as it was in the Gulf, and it's currently being used in the Adriatic.
And it is worldwide. There are 37 tactical squadrons operating internationally.
And this airplane is also used by the Navy's Blue Angels.
At this particular point, he's coming out of a landing configuration, putting the landing gear up and taking off, and it's like he's shot out of a cannon.
The airplane has a very high power-to-weight ratio, so there's no problem doing these very high-energy maneuvers that you see him doing now. Gear down, afterburners in, you can see him in the back there.
And he is not blowing smoke off the wings.
Absolutely not.
That's condensation. The F-18 Hornet, one of the most beautiful aircraft you'll ever see. Well, from the supersonic speeds to the B-26, Kermit Weeks is strapping into a one-of-a-kind aircraft. And Ian Groom is about to take off in the Fuji aerobatic. The sky's the limit. Stick around.
Water. Its magic lies in its ability to alter shape and form. Not surprisingly, water is the ultimate symbol for change. How appropriate. Greater Fort Lauderdale, home to so much water, is also home to so much change. Immerse yourself.
If you're the kind of person who'd rather tune an engine than eat, who reads a tachometer like a love story, or own the roar of Force.
You recognize this? Sure you do. It's $1. You want to know why George Washington looks so ticked off? It's because he remembers when a buck was worth something. Nowadays, you're lucky if you can buy a pair of used socks at a garage sale for under $1. Well, cheer up, Georgie boy. At least you can get all your long-distance calls for only 99 cents.
That's right. Just dial 1010-220. And all calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents. And just 9 cents a minute after that. No fees, no switching. So if you want to talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents, just dial 1010-220 first.
Working out or working hard, Centrum has your nutrition covered. With Centrum, you benefit from what science is discovering about how vitamins and minerals help maintain health and strengthen immunity. Centrum, always complete from A to Zinc.
The 1999 Air and Sea Show is sponsored by the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. Immerse yourself. And by the United States Air Force. Whatever you do in life, aim high. And high it is with the Air Force Reserve Mako Squadron out of Homestead, Florida, the Air Force's F-16s. Now we're going to get a little better look at one of those a little bit later, but first let's go back about 50 years or so. This is the only B-26 in the world that is still flying. Look underneath. Kermit Weeks is flying the plane, but watch the bomb bay doors. This guy is going to give us a rather thrilling demonstration, and the crowd loves it.
And in this electronic age, I think it's safe to say these might even be smart watermelons.
I have no doubt at all. Well, of course, this particular plane is along with a lot of other planes and displays at the Fantasy of Flight in Polk City. Kermit restores and collects the planes.
A lot of the B-26 veterans of World War II have never got a chance to see these at air shows. It's great that we got this flying again. It's been 40, 50 years since most of them have seen them fly, and here we're going to fly at the Fort Lauderdale Air Show.
How far we have come in 50 years, but it's still a beautiful aircraft. Early every morning, all air show pilots attend a briefing, and as you might imagine, the show requires immense coordination, and they've got to maintain a very, very tight schedule of flight.
There's quite a bit of orchestration that goes on behind the scenes to ensure the safety of the aircraft and the coordination of the airspace with air traffic, and that's basically what we do down here on the beach. You've got 25 people that are flying, and everything is based on the time. It's you want to keep it on time because we're at a remote site. The aircraft are located some 10 miles away. If we're running late, then it puts them behind and so forth. They've got fuel critical for their aerobatics and stuff, so you definitely want to keep it on time. It's a whole bunch of people that keep it going, a whole bunch.
Including the U.S. Coast Guard. They have the job of controlling the waterway underneath the air show airspace. Well, Gibby, this is one of the most impressive and enduring airplanes that we'll see. It's the B-52 Stratofortress.
A real venerable trooper in the Air Force arsenal that's capable of conventional or nuclear mission and has globe-girdling capability limited only by crew endurance.
It is a huge plane, and it really makes an impression on people. They can only imagine what it must be like on a bombing run.
Well, while it might be subsonic in its speeds, it's certainly capable in its mission, and it has a wide variety of munitions.
Back on the water now, we're going to witness a U.S. Coast Guard rescue operation so important and so critical because so much of the world is covered by water. Here you see the big plane coming in. Now, there is a lot of communication going on between that plane and helicopters which are coming in for the actual rescue. And within the helicopters themselves, the communication has to be absolutely on. For instance, communication between the helicopter pilot and the spotter as the helicopter positions itself. In this particular case, a swimmer going into the water to help with the rescue, and then they position. This looks easy, Gibby, but it is very, very dangerous.
Yes, it is. And they do this about 14 times a day. Figures show that they save that many lives and perform about 328 rescues a day, so it's quite a mission.
And I have to tell you that anybody that has been out and stranded in the water anywhere in the world where the U.S. Coast Guard has been able to come in, that is one of the most welcome sights you can see. You know you are safe and in good hands with them. There's There's the flyby of the aircraft the Coast Guard uses, along with the helicopters you saw in the actual rescue. We commend all of those in the United States Coast Guard. What a crowd has assembled, and what a treat they're going to have right now. Ian Groom aboard the Fuji Sukhoi aerobatic airplane.
Okay, we have Ian Groom showing how physically demanding this can be, and he's flying in an airplane that's up to all of those demands. The famous Sukhoi, it's made with space-age materials, Kevlar, stainless steel, and titanium.
And he's able to pull upwards of 10 Gs in this plane. That's an amazing punishment for the human body. But as you can see, as he twists and turns, one of the most important things in any aerobatic aircraft is to know exactly where you are in the sky.
In both civilian and military, we call that situational awareness. It's a very important aspect of what we do.
With the situational awareness, you have to be aware of everything around you, aware of altitudes and speeds. And so quick glance at McDonald's and then your head out, keeping your head on the swivel, and everything around and really having that situational awareness, which really comes from experience and practice.
Well, Ian Groom putting on a great show for the crowd here in Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Well, he can do up to 720 degrees of roll in a second, so that's 2 complete spins in 1 second. You can see the strain on his face. There's no fooling around here. And he has to stay in absolutely tip-top physical condition.
Great show. Ian Groom in the Sukhoi Fuji aerobatic team. Still in the air and still to come, a demonstration by the United States Navy leapfrogs. And Captain John York finishing up the pre-flight on his F-15. That's coming up.
Feed your need for speed. Pole position indoor karting put you behind the wheel of a high-performance racing car capable of reaching speeds of over 40 miles per hour. Test your limits through our screaming turns and blazing straightaways. There's nothing like it in South Florida. Pole position indoor karting is the only asphalted high-speed indoor track in the country. So if you want real white-knuckle, heart-pounding, wheel-to-wheel action, come race with the best. Pole position indoor karting. Nail it if you dare.
ESPN's countdown of the 50 greatest athletes of the century. The NFL career leader in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Other records, too numerous to mention. Super Bowls, 3 for 3. So far, continuing our countdown to number 1, ESPN Sports Century athlete number 27, Jerry Rice. Friday at 10:30 on ESPN, presented by General Motors.
Welcome back to the Air at Sea Show from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Look at that crowd, an estimated 1.5 million people per day over the 2 days, better than 3 million. Let's move to the water. It's exciting what's happening out there right now. Plenty of activity along the shore. We've got personal watercraft exhibitions by Sea-Doo performers, trick skiers, show skiers, barefooters, and look at this guy. It's called a speed chair. Oh yes, I can see where I'd be with that one. We've also got stunt kites high up in the air. This is the non-military meaning of Marine exercises.
It's certainly a salute to the military, but it also gives us an opportunity to showcase the best civilian talent right out here on the water. And we have the Clareton hang gliding team, the Sea-Doo demonstration team, and the Finlandia water ski team, and this is the best talent in the country. And the opportunity for the city of Fort Lauderdale and the state of Florida to bring all this public-private partnership together and showcase it to millions and millions of people right along the beach here is a terrific thing for the community and the state. Everybody wins in this situation.
And the fans along the beach certainly did a great demonstration for sure. Now we go from the sea to the air, and it's an F-18 flyby.
We hope to inspire some of our young people to look for a rewarding career in the military and a chance to learn how to utilize some of this amazing technology that we use today.
It's got to be terribly exciting for all the young men and women out there to think about coming into the military and the potential career that you have. I think it's a wonderful thing. Everyone should think about that when they're getting out of high school. Training, the opportunity to learn some leadership skills, and then if you decide to stay in the military, we'd love to keep you, but if you decide to leave, you've got some real marketable skills also.
And a beautiful sight as the F-18s pull back up into the wild blue yonder. Now we switch to a very specialized part of the United States Navy. It's called the Leapfrogs, the Navy SEALs.
Right, the Sea, Air, Land Commandos. We have a 15-man team here today showing us what they can do with their steerable chutes. But I can tell you that training scenario that they go through is 25 weeks of the hardest and toughest training anybody ever faces.
Yeah, at this point, this is almost relaxation for them, isn't it?
I would say so. You know, that famous Hell Week that they face in their 5th week of training is legendary. I think they even made a movie about it.
It's amazing as you look up into the air and see these guys coming down. You think back to World War II when they just had the round parachutes, and then you see how they can steer these giddy, and they can do anything. Look at this.
It's part of the maneuvers they do in their competitions, and they are internationally qualified. Interestingly enough, though, the parachute training comes after they've completed all of their training and they've actually received their SEAL shield.
Here's another very difficult maneuver. It's a triple stack, a very dangerous maneuver, too. You've got to be precision on this one.
And at 13,000 feet, they jumped out of this C-130 from the Texas Air Guard.
Well, the fans are enjoying all of the activities on the water and in the air. Also, they're enjoying a beautiful day on Fort Lauderdale Beach and some of the static displays. This is anything but static. It's the Red Baron Stearman Squadron.
Well, here we have an airplane made out of fabric and wood with a big radial engine, developed in the 30s, carried the U.S. mail, makes a lot of noise. It's the romance of the air show flying here, and I think the crowd enjoys that.
We talked to the Red Baron's lead pilot earlier about the Stearman's close formation flying. It's quite a trick and has been going on for quite a few years.
The Red Baron Stearman Squadron's routine is comprised of mainly close formation flying. A little bit like the Blue Angels, only we do all of our aerobatics at the speed of smell. Basically, we're wingtip to wingtip the entire time. Occasionally we break up and get into a trail formation, but even then we're very close to each other.
And we should point out that this really was put together because it was easier to fly into small airports with these Stearman aircraft when Red Baron Pizza was trying to deliver to those small grocery stores. So they had a practical use. As things got better in transportation, they stopped using them for that, but they kept the planes on as their signature, and they certainly are a welcome addition to any air show. The Red Baron Stearman Squadron from Red Baron Pizza. The smoke of their biplanes leave a wake behind. Here's a different kind of wake from the Florida Powerboat Club. This is offshore powerboat racing, and they're simulating a race out here to give the fans an idea of what they can do. There's the In Excess, one of the popular boats on the circuit today. You can see they've got a yellow flag up there as they get ready to start the boats off. This particular boat band was a former world champion. A good example of powerboat racing today. Now, airborne, it is the U.S. Air Force F-15 Eagle piloted by Captain John York of Tampa, Florida.
This is our primary air superiority fighter. Not only does it give us air superiority, after a while, air supremacy. Now, this airplane can go 2.5 Mach. That's 2.5 times the speed of sound, and it can also climb from sea level to 65,000 feet in just over a minute.
John York is a very proud pilot. He not only puts this plane through a tremendous air show demonstration, but I think it's important to point out that this plane has actually seen combat, and that's a source of pride for the pilot.
F-15 is a wonderful airplane. It's a great machine. Now, this airplane is here. It's a 1985 model, and it's a special F-15 because it has 3 kills from Desert Storm. So, as well as being an air show airplane, the air show, being the thing we're here doing, it's really an airplane that goes out and flies all over the world and does a great deal of work for the Air Force. And it's a great airplane to do that. You can accelerate up above 50,000 feet. You can go greater than Mach 2.5. It's a very powerful airplane. For twice the horsepower of the entire starting lineup that the Indy 500 is in this one airplane right here. So it's a fantastic machine, and it's a great performer.
There's plenty of horsepower in those big 2 Pratt & Whitney engines that are pumping out that afterburner, and I will tell you too that the weapons on it are also equally awesome. It carries all kinds of missiles. It has an internally mounted Gatling gun. can put out a lot of firepower.
This is a plane that is worn like a glove by the pilot. Have you ever seen an LCAT? Looking at one now, and you'll look closer when we come back.
Water. Its magic lies in its ability to alter shape and form. Not surprisingly, water is the ultimate symbol for change. How appropriate. Greater Fort Lauderdale, home to so much water, is also home to so much change. Immerse yourself.
Right now at Circuit City, you'll find savings in every department. All TVs 32 inches and larger, car audio, camcorders, receivers, boom boxes, and more are on sale. It's a great time to save on big screen TVs, like this RCA 32-inch stereo TV with on-screen program listings. Now only $599.99. Our knowledgeable sales counselors can answer all your questions, and you'll always get a guaranteed low price. Save in every department today at Circuit City.
Stuart and I get the playoff picture back from the darkroom when we come back. We're clear. The clock is going too fast. I can't keep up. Come on, snip the towel. My throat. I can hardly get it. Give him some tea. Cut me. Cut me, Lou. Come on, baby. Come on. Snap on me. Don't be a lollipop. Get out there. Come on. Tonight, Jim. Tonight. Well, without question, these days, the word on everybody.
Sports Center. Mornings, 6:30 and 11. Only on ESPN.
Welcome back to a national salute to the U.S. military. I'm Vic Crippen, along with retired General Gibby Vartan, and as you look out at rollerbladers among this huge crowd that is assembled on Fort Lauderdale Beach, you see people who are enjoying a lot of the displays and the simulations. This is the Jack Daniels airbrush exhibit. It's really kind of neat to see the companies that are sponsoring this show to get out and get involved in the air show theme, and that painting will be given away later today. Some went one step further, adding hospitality areas. Those are special perks to employees or maybe to pamper their best customers. Plenty of shade and plenty of prime seats for a great air and sea show. This is the F-4 flyby.
Well, this Phantom, a venerable aircraft in the inventory replaced by the F-15, is currently used for high-speed missile testing, supersonic. And this aircraft, the E-9 de Havilland, is the airplane that can operate them remotely and also gathers the telemetry that goes with the testing program.
Needless to say, a show of this size draws a tremendous amount of media attention. At the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport Jet Center earlier in the week, they held a big press conference kicking off the world's largest air show. You'd expect the usual array of press, but shortly the entire entourage has moved to the tarmac to get up close and even hands-on with some of the aircrafts. The salute to the military angle was highlighted by an exhibition from the United States Air Force drill team. And following that, an enlistment ceremony as General Sharp swore in several dozen Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine recruits.
And the uniform code of military justice.
And our newest recruits begin their time in military service. First, they'll see a little training. The commander of Aerospace Education and Training has high regards for this generation of recruits.
Clearly, and that's why every once in a while I will hear, some folks say, well, gee whiz, young people are just not like they used to be whenever time was in the past. And I said, you're absolutely right, they're a heck of a lot better. I found that if you take them, put them in the right environment, give them the right kind of instruction, these folks can do anything, just like Americans have always done. I mean, I'm very, very proud of them.
And rightfully he should be. Back to the water now, and an introduction to the USS Bataan, multi-purpose amphibious assault ship. It is accommodating 3,200 sailors, 844 feet long. A very unique ship, for sure. We'll talk more about it, but the commanding officer of the Bataan enlisted after college, and his naval career speaks volumes about opportunity.
The playing field I would characterize as being a level playing field, where if you're willing to put some effort into it, if you're willing to work hard, then the opportunities are there, and they're there for all people. It's not just the kid that graduated #1 in this class, or the kid that has rich parents, or from Harvard. We certainly recruit from all areas and walks of life in the country.
The hull of the ship is basically like a 3-story building over a city block long.
Carries cargo, helicopters, vehicles, and the LCAC. And the LCAC is a landing craft air cushion. It's a special capability vehicle that gives the Navy the chance, or the Marines the chance, to get to over 70% of the shorelines that they may have to deal with.
Now the crew must take special tests to be assigned to the LCAC. There are many career opportunities for lower ranks. In this particular case, the Chief Petty Officer is in command of this vehicle.
I have numerous controls to make this craft do all kinds of amazing things. It will hover on spot, it will back up, it will turn around in its own length, do 360s, it will move side to side, it will transverse water, it will go over logs, it will go over 15-foot wide ditches that are 4 feet deep, it will go over 4-foot high fences and rocks and boulders. It will do all kinds of amazing things.
There's a team of 3 inside the LCAC pilot house: driver, navigator, and engineer. They're literally flying it across the border. There are a lot of support people that make it run.
And we have a lot of those support people aboard the LHD working this amazing monorail system that moves material and men at 60 miles an hour to get them into that ship and get it out the back in good time.
And look how close it came to shore. Folks got a real opportunity. Well, coming up, a special day for students and the F-14 Tomcat.
If you're the kind of person who'd rather tune an engine than eat, who reads a tachometer like a love story, or whom the roar of fully blown horsepower is a lullaby, a machine for you. And in the hands of the right mechanic, it'll blow the doors off anything. Ain't my Air Force.
Playing hard or working hard, Centrum has your nutrition covered. With Centrum, you benefit from what science is discovering about how vitamins and minerals help maintain health and strengthen immunity. Centrum, always complete from A to Zinc.
So I'm on ESPN.com checking out my sports fantasy leagues. I'll go in a chat room and I'll meet people. People do trash talk in the chat room. I told somebody I was from Boston, and they started in with Buckner this and Buckner that. I just wanted to say, hey, you know, those who have not committed errors, you throw the first stones, okay? If not, leave the man alone, and leave me alone, and let it go. Let it go.
Welcome back to the 1999 Air and Sea Show, taking up over 3 miles of Florida's Oceanside Drive. That's the famous Highway A1A. Military displays all over the place. The taxpayers getting an opportunity to see in the air, on sea, and on the land exactly where their money is going. And look at this. Can you imagine staying in the hotel and seeing these guys rappelling down the side? Well, the Army was putting on this exhibition. The guests were warned ahead of time what was happening. Civilians got to do a little vertical wall climbing and rappelling as well. All branches of the military had displays here, an opportunity to see, touch, and feel. It was a lot of fun for everybody to get out and actually be able to climb on the various vehicles and see how they operated. To also talk to some of the folks who were serving our country. Even the local paper brought out a Humvee. And, you know, the young pilots, they got an opportunity to climb on board and find out what it might be like somewhere down the future. It was a fun time for all. But it was the 5,000 students who got a sneak preview of the show, mostly ROTC and junior ROTC, along with 6th graders. It's the North Broward Hospital District Kids Day, and they filled nearly a quarter mile of beautiful Fort Lauderdale Beach for a morning glance at the Air and Sea Show, and also got some refreshments and t-shirts to go along with it. All eyes were skyward as this special premiere unfolded. Motivational and educational event for sure. Now the students also took a Sports for Life pledge. This is to avoid tobacco at least for 1 year. It was a day to remember for sure. And what impression was left on America's youth?
That's awesome. Just to hit that turn. Pull those G's.
It's part of what we learn in school. We learn about the planes, and this is our chance to see it.
Some like set goals. Basically, we want to set goals when we see stuff like this. It's really cool.
I'm breathless. I can't. Speechless.
Well, no day at the beach is complete without a couple of pictures. Maybe even a little water, even if it is from the Crystal Springs sprayer. How about a little handiwork in the sand? He caught the theme. And here's something else to catch. Wayne Handley in the Turbo Raven aerobatic airplane.
Turbo Raven is really a unique aircraft. It's the first acrobatic aircraft to achieve a positive rate of climb. And what does that mean? It's an airplane that can take off in 250 feet and go vertical. And in that airplane, Wayne Handley has set the vertical climb record. Now you'll notice him doing a flat spin right at the moment. The camera makes it look like the propeller is just sort of interrupted, but it's really spinning at its full speed.
Beautiful shots, too, and we can see when we're in the cockpit that piece of paper that's right in front of him there, Gibby.
That's an Arresti diagram. That's a form of shorthand where he keeps track of the maneuvers he's going to do, and of course, moving this fast, he really has to be ahead of the airplane.
Hard to imagine that he could be doing all of that and still controlling the plane. Now he takes it up, and literally they drop it over the top.
Right, and he holds another record. He does 72 rotations inverted.
Great performance by Wayne Handley. Here was a unique opportunity for all the performers, military and civilian. They got together
to socialize, meet and greet old friends, and enjoy some tasty Florida food while swapping some pretty good stories that I think, Gibby, over the years tend to get embellished just a little bit, but it's fun.
I would say so. You know, I enjoy this party the most of all. I think the operations aspect, getting together with these great aviators and a chance to, like you say, swap stories and renew old times, that's a lot of the fun.
And I think one thing to be pointed out, whether it's civilian or military, each respects the other for what they do, and there's a tremendous amount going back and forth between the military and the civilian for the efforts that they put forth.
Actually, we find cooperation that we didn't find. This show is really special.
Now, of course, the Golden Knights aren't going to miss an opportunity for some sweets, so they were there to cut the cake and get involved in that, too. It is a fun time, and everybody can kind of just relax and look forward to what's going to be coming up to be a great weekend that'll be entertaining all of the folks across the country via this tremendous international show. And talk about excitement, how about the F-14 Tomcat?
Well, here's the Navy's air superiority fighter. This is an airplane that can fly twice the speed of sound. It can fly damp of the earth. It carries all those amazing weapons we talked about earlier. It can track up to 24 targets simultaneously with advanced weapon systems. And it has guns, it has swept wings, crew of 2. You're seeing it right now in carrier landing configuration. Pulls it up. Once again, you see those afterburners kick in. Look at that fire coming out. That's exciting. Over the top he goes. Crowd loves this.
And Gibby, it amazes me. The wingspan goes from 64 feet to 38 feet in the swept position. It just seems abnormal to have a plane flying that swings the wings back like that.
Well, here's a good shot of it. You can see it put it in that delta dart shape, and that gives it a wide range of capabilities. And with those wings extended like you see them right now, the airplane is able to have very good slow speed characteristics. When he pulls them back, look out.
And of course, when he gets into that delta wing configuration, we go back to the kites we saw flying earlier in the show as the really birth of all of that. And there he goes again.
There he comes. He's going to show us that high-speed, minimum radius combat turn. Now he climbs up. Tremendous power in this airplane.
And again, Gibby, we should point out, because people don't understand, this is not done for the benefit of an air show. These maneuvers are actual maneuvers that these pilots are trained for in combat.
And these airplanes are going to be converted at a moment's notice to their real-time mission.
A great display by the F-14. We'll have more fighters like the F-16 coming up next.
Water. Its magic lies in its ability to alter shape and form. Not surprisingly, water is the ultimate symbol for change. How appropriate. things change, immerse yourself.
They're here, filled with aroma and flavor, only they're waiting to be released by you. Introducing Folgers new whole bean coffee. Every time you grind these beans, you release something sensational, a deeper, richer aroma. This is Arabica bean perfection in a whole different Folgers, the whole bean Folgers. New Folgers premium whole bean coffees. They're waiting.
The Spurs were sensational. The excitement never stopped. He fires the three. Celebrate with the San Antonio Spurs in this thrilling new NBA championship video, Go Spurs Go. Plus this exclusive hardcover Sports Illustrated commemorative. It's a limited edition, individually numbered classic you'll treasure forever. Both are free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. The first time is the best time, so be there for the sweeps and the sweetness of the San Antonio Spurs special season. It's all free with your order of 55 issues of SI for only $1.59 an issue. Save over 45% off the cover price. You'll also get this great Spurs sports watch free when you use your credit card. This fine collector's watch is the best way to keep time with the champion Spurs. Call now to get all 3 championship keepsakes free from Sports Illustrated. The champion Spurs and Sports Illustrated. You can't beat them.
You're looking at part of the huge crowd assembled here at Fort Lauderdale, Florida for the 1999 Air and Sea Show. The national salute to the U.S. military. Dick Griffin along with retired General Gibby Barton. And we have now everybody looking skyward for the F-16.
The F-16 is the Air Force multi-role fighter. It does air-to-air combat, it does air-to-ground. In fact, it does it all very well. Again, carries all of the weapon systems that the Air Force has to offer, day, night, all-weather capability. A good all-around airplane, well flown by this demo team. We also find that the F-16 Mach 2 and can get in and out of combat. It has a good combat radius too.
Jimmy, I want to point out that as the names of the pilots come up on the screen, you're going to see the home base of the pilot also. And that's important because these guys come from all over the nation literally. Some of them don't even land at the airport locally. They just fly by at their appointed time.
Well, we call that a remote flyby. It's a time over target thing, and these pilots are trained to do that. It's a lot of fun to fly down this beach in your shiny aircraft. And this airplane, I might point out, is also flown by many of our allies all over the world.
And these fans along the beach are really enjoying the maneuvers that these planes are being put through. This is the F-16. Another fine event, the sponsor reception at the beautiful Bahia Mar Radisson on Fort Lauderdale Beach. This was a fine social gathering, a little bit more formal than the other one we were talking about earlier for just the participants. This one, of course, for the sponsors. They have the top military officers there, along with city dignitaries and air show performers. One of the evening surprises was a twilight drop from the Golden Knights. That kind of got their attention. And when it got just a little bit darker, they also had an additional surprise in store for them. A surprise fireworks show. And as the call went out to move into the ballroom for some presentations, they passed the Lockheed Martin prototype models of their new aircraft coming out. And there were a few tokens of appreciation exchanged before the keynote speakers got a chance to talk.
We appreciate events like this where there's an intersection between the civilian population and the military forces. It's very important that we have this. But we also say thank you for your day-to-day support, which is tremendously necessary for us to continue to do the job that we're doing.
The purpose of this show, of course, is to showcase our military and send a recruiting message. By the way, Air Force is hiring 30,000 this year. I would also like to thank the city of Fort Lauderdale, and there's no finer event in the U.S. that showcases the military. We're honored because your hospitality and this show tells us that you care and, of course, value our service and what we do. And believe me, that is not lost on the young troops.
The United States Air Force drill team, also part of that evening, performing a precision demonstration to a wide-eyed audience. the jazz sounds of Jimmy Summers' alto sax, oh so sweet, setting a great mood to conclude the evening. The United States Air Force Pararescue Demonstration Team. These are the guys that go in a lot of time for down pilots. That's a big HH-60 helicopter in there. This is just another one of the things that a young person on the shoreline might be looking at as a possible future career.
Over 3 million people who come to this air show. We hope that some of those individuals have the attributes we're very interested in: excellence in all they do, integrity and service before self, and love aviation. And of course, this is a great show for aviation, and we're thrilled that we have an opportunity to recruit some of those young men and women, and we hope they'll join the United States Air Force, and the Army, and the Navy, and the Marine Corps.
And we have members of all of those forces here with us, and all of them have a smile on. They're proud to be where they are.
I believe this is every American's responsibility, and that's just the way I feel about it. I'm in the greatest service in the world, the Air Force, and I enjoy going around and taking our 2 F-15s all over the United States, Europe, and Canada, and showing people what their tax money goes to pay for.
It's pretty incredible, I think, for a Chief Petty Officer and somebody 35 years old to be commanding a vessel like this. It's really quite a privilege and honor, and quite frankly, sometimes I step back and I look at this big beast, and I'm amazed they let me fly this thing.
Training was tough. Tech school was real tough. They emphasized a lot on school. I'm only 3 credits away from my associate's degree already, so that's good in electronics, and it's been good.
Military gave me the opportunity to travel. I've been to Europe twice. I've been to the Persian Gulf back in the 80s. Been to the West Coast, you know, different places, different commands, different people. It's just a blast. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Here's some other folks who wouldn't trade it for the world. The Golden Knights, they're up next.
What's new at AutoNation USA?
The all-new 2000 Nissans and grand opening specials.
What's new at AutoNation USA? AutoNation Nissan, Kendall.
Now you can buy new vehicles the same no-hassle way we sell used vehicles. Low, no-haggle prices. Come see our mega selection of 2000 Maximas, Nissan Crew Cabs, and the new Xterra.
It's about lower prices. It's about higher standards. It's about time for AutoNation Nissan, Kendall at 173rd Street at US 1.
What if I told you that some people, when they die, get drafted into an army called the Corps that's waging a worldwide battle against the forces of darkness, and it's a bad guys called Morlocks, but just like everybody else, so telling both teams apart ain't easy. And that this guy, who recently went from working stiff to just plain stiff, was the newest foot soldier in this battle. It sounds crazy, right? Right. G versus E, premiering July 18 today on USA Network.
John McEnroe was the best tennis player ever. I mean, I hated him, but I loved him. I mean, some people just hated him. Wimbledon hated him. The English hated him. The ball boys, they hated him. The other players hated him. Jimmy Connors, Bjorn Borg, he drove him nuts. He had control of you. He was in control of your mind. He'd win and win and win. And you hate him and hate him and hate him. You can say what you want to say about John McEnroe, but he was a genius.
You've got to call 1-800-CLASSIC to get ESPN Classic.
It's the Air and Sea Show, 1999, a national salute to the U.S. military, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dick Griffin along with retired General Gibby Varden, and we look at some of the kids getting in on the interactive fun that's on the land right by the beach here. This is the Kids Marine Corps obstacle course, the Miami Herald Kids Zone. Little cool down on a warm Florida day, something to eat. Oh, we've got it all. Program sales, of course, benefited the Boys and Girls Clubs. We've seen all sorts of technology from the Delta Wing glider all the way on through modern jet power, but let's see what happens when we put it all together.
Well, we have a special treat in store today, an extraordinary opportunity to see 50 years of airplane development, and we call it the Heritage Flight. Here you see the P-51, 50 years old, maybe more. The F-15, the F-16, and the A-10, and the P-51 are all going to be flying together today. You're watching this through the helmet camera of Captain York. And here they are, all of them lined up. What a special sight that is. The Heritage Flight
flight is kind of a trademark we're very proud of, and we do let the Mustang do the lead. And the aviators hang on to that heritage, and it's a heraldry that they stick with, and they carry on a lot of tradition, even though the weapon systems change.
When you put these kind of airplanes together, you have a special team that does that. There's only 10 demonstration pilots approved to do that. Chuck Yeager among them, so you know it's a pretty high quality level of person doing that lead flight.
It is a beautiful sight to see, as is this. Falling free from high over Fort Lauderdale Beach, it's the U.S. Army Golden Knights.
They fall at a rate of 120 miles an hour, and by placing their arms on their sides, they can get their speeds up to 180 miles an hour. The Army also has developed these steerable chutes to a very high degree that you see today.
And all the Golden Knights know they represent paratroopers everywhere.
There are paratroopers out there doing a real-world mission as we speak. Free fall parachuting and static line parachuting. So there's a lot of soldiers out there doing this job for real combat situations, peacekeeping missions around the world. We just happen to be fortunate enough to come here to Fort Lauderdale and put on a good show and show you what the capabilities of the U.S. Army are.
And it amazes me constantly when they hit that target.
Yes, those steerable chutes were developed by the Russians, but our team, which are really gold medal champions, have brought them to their state of perfection. We're watching here today. Look at them coming in over the palm trees.
And look how the palm trees are blowing. This is the jump plane that they go out of at 10,000 feet. And now, roaring its way to show center, the famed B-1 bomber, the Lancer. We'll be back to take a close-up look right after this.
If you're the kind of person who'd rather tune an engine than eat, who reads a tachometer like a love story, or whom the roar of fully blown horsepower is a lullaby, have we got a machine for you? And in the hands of the right mechanic, it'll blow the doors off anything. Aim high, Air Force.
Man who lives across the alley. I watch him from my window. I fear his knowledge is bigger than mine. I must watch more RPM tonight. I must watch more RPM tonight.
The 1999 Air and Sea Show at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You're looking at some of the 3.5 million who have witnessed the show over a 2-day period. Some of the heroes of today inspiring the heroes of tomorrow. And this is the B-1 Lancer bomber.
Being a lethal-looking airplane, intercontinental, capable of flying intercontinental without refueling. It carries the conventional and nuclear weapons. In fact, it can drop up to 84 500-pound bombs, and if you're on the wrong side of that bomb drop, it can ruin your whole day. Much like the F-14, he can sweep his wings, and you see that happening now. We have a saying in the military, speed is life. When he puts those wings back, he's going for life.
One of the people made a comment to me, a civilian, and said, you know, the only time you're going to see 2 of these is when they're bombing you.
We're hoping they're not going to plan that for today. He's showing us a little bit of the slow speed capability now, as we call it. Wings, are out in front to give that low speed characteristic. He's got the landing gear down. We call that having the airplane dirtied up, and that's showing how slow she can fly. The Wright brothers could complete their first flight in the wingspan there of 137 feet.
Now, what makes this the world's largest air show? That's a good question.
wholesome, family-oriented, patriotic event, something for everybody, as well as a great recruiting tool to help the U.S. military show that the military is a great way of life. It's a great opportunity both for the military and for our corporate America to work together. You got to be proud to be an American when you have the opportunity to see what our military stands for to keep our democracy free.
And this, of course, is the world's largest American flag. Boy, it is beautiful flying over the beach here on a gorgeous summer day. Air and sea by day, by night, the sound of jazz. Right on the beach, renowned jazz artist and sax man Najee thrilling the crowd. It's the Walgreens Jazz Captain Morgan's concert, and it's attended by thousands of fans. What a great way to spend a beautiful summer evening in Fort Lauderdale. And it's all part of the 1999 Air and Sea Show. Toward the end of the show, well, there's something special in the air. It's the U.S. Navy leapfrogs making a rare nighttime jump. Right on target, I might add. I'm sure they didn't mind coming down to the sounds of Najee. And an F-14 flyby to start the fireworks show presented by Ryan International. What a way to cap off a great evening of entertainment. The Air and Sea Show, what are people thinking about it?
They're all great. They're all doing a superb job. They're really added to these guys. They do wonders with those things.
Man, it just runs chills down your spine to see all these planes fly below.
What do you like?
So far, the F-15 is my favorite, but all the military planes are awesome.
The sound, you feel it, the rumbling is great. I'm still waiting for the bomber, the B-2.
The F-16, that's about my favorite, yeah. I'm still waiting for the stealth.
Actually, I like the F-16s quite a lot, and I'm really out here to see the stealth bomber. Last year, we didn't get to see it.
Oh, I like the F-18s and the Hornets and everything. Military jets are unbelievable.
If you're waiting for the B-2 stealth bomber, keep your eyes on the horizon.
Water, its magic lies in its ability to alter shape and form. Not surprisingly, water is the ultimate symbol for change. How appropriate. Greater Fort Lauderdale, home to so much water, is also home to so much change. Immerse yourself.
Joe and Phil both know an important call can come at any time. Because he's a courteous guy, Joe's turning his cell phone off. Phil's leaving his on, which isn't going to win many popularity contests. But Joe has SkyTel, so even when he turns his cell phone off, a SkyTel operator converts the caller's message to text and sends it right to his pager. So while Joe is looking at the movie, Phil is looking for the exit. SkyTel puts you in control. Can your pager do that?
Long ball is back, and the big sluggers are at it again. It's not about the penny. It's not about the ring. It's about bragging rights. The 1999 Century 21 Home Run Derby. Monday at 8 on ESPN.
The 1999 Air and Sea Show has been sponsored by the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. Immerse yourself. And by the United States Air Force. Whatever you do in life, aim high. And aiming for show center, the B-2.
This is probably one of the most exciting planes we'll see today. It's the leading edge of our capability in research and development. This airplane, low observable, awesome capability for distance, carries a wide range of weapons, does both conventional and nuclear mission. It can fly over 6,000 miles. Now, it happens to be subsonic, so it isn't real fast, but the unique design captures the imagination, and I think the folks out here are thrilled to see it.
And I can't imagine what it's like to be in charge of B-2s, but here's the man.
The B-2 bomber is the most
outstanding, the most phenomenal platform certainly I've ever flown. The thing that we have to keep in mind, though, is just one piece of the total warfighting capability of this country we call America. We put all this arsenal together, and it is the most formidable warfighting piece on the planet today.
Without question, with the millennium on the horizon, this takes us into the 21st century.
And possibly beyond. B-2 has a crew of 2 pilots, and they manage all that technology.
Now here's another amazing aircraft that I just sit back and wonder at, because when you see it in the movie, you just wonder, can it really do these things?
Well, it really can do these things, and it was developed specially for the Marine Corps need to have a very versatile fighter that could fly in the tactical scenario that the Marines find themselves in. Having this vertical capability through vector thrust, and you see the nozzles on the side of the aircraft directing the thrust downward. It uses up a lot of fuel doing this, and they really do this kind of a thing for demonstration purposes. You can see how much that will help them out in the field during combat maneuvers.
The AB-8V Harrier is piloted by just one man, and the maneuverability of this aircraft is unbelievable, because where it dead stops, give me a then. Once it goes into its flight configuration, it takes off very fast, and it can get very fast speed.
Right, and it can get into supersonic dash capabilities. It's not really classified as a supersonic fighter, but as we can see here, it's putting out a lot of smoke as it transitions from vertical to horizontal flight.
No question the crowd was brought to its feet by the AB-8V Harrier jet. Well, it's an amazing display of technology and military machines.
And even more amazing are the people who support, maintain, and operate those machines.
And as we leave, a final salute to the people who serve and protect America, the men and women of our armed forces.
People want to come to the United States, and they want to come here because of that opportunity, because of the lifestyle, because of the freedoms we have. And this United States Navy is part of maybe it is patriotic, but protecting those freedoms, and we're proud of it.
Freedom isn't free, and I think we've forgotten that.
Technology given, people make the difference. And those people are great young American men and women who have decided to do something for their country. And that's what we put our effort into, is those people.